Okay, you are welcome to my healthy food place where we share ideas and recipes on how you can stay healthy naturally. And so today, I want to share something that is quite interesting and that many of us would love to hear. A good number of us are aware already that it is best to manage your blood sugar, your blood pressure, and all such cases using natural means. But it is also good, as much as we talk about it, once in a while, it's good to put them to test, because talking is not enough. And so there is an interesting one. You may have noticed also that I was unusually absent this morning. Unusually absent, yes. I mean, on this platform of YouTube. The reason obviously is because of an urgent, what I call an urgent issue that came up, trying to resolve it. And that has to do with the issue of this blood sugar. There are so many herbs out there for resolving a host of these ailments: blood pressure, blood sugar. But there are also times when specifically you need to understand the role of each of them when it comes to resolving issues, specific issues. And so at several other times, if you've been through my channel, you will notice some remedies or some other tips on how to lower your blood sugar naturally. There are several foods and herbs, spices that does it. But once in a while also, when it happens, lowering your blood sugar, it seems a good number of people get confused why the blood pressure seems not to be resolving. And so it happened today in this very aspect that we have to work on the sugar that has risen as much as 157. Now, the fasting blood sugar is usually 110. That's the normal range. 110, using the AccuCheck, you could 110 fasting in the morning. Usually 110, 100, 90, 80, 110, 115, and even sometimes 120 also could be accepted. But best 110. Anything more than that before your breakfast is something that you need to give or pay attention to. And when you notice that the sugar has risen up, it is always best to also ensure that you bring it down before having your meal, any other meal. The reason obviously is because if you decide to take something, it definitely will again impact on it negatively. And that's why you must make efforts to ensure that it is you must make sure that you ensure that it is resolved. And what do I mean by that? Resolved in a way that, in the sense that if you have taking it to, and you measured it, and it's something as high as 120, 120 something, or 140 or 130 something. Now, if you go ahead to take something or have your meal, you definitely will have to go higher than that, much higher than that. And so it is advised that effort is made to lower it to at least to the healthy level. And so if you can lower it to that healthy level, then it is okay for the person to take something. I actually intend to have an invitation that the person concerned should come around and tell us exactly how and what happened in my next life. And so here we go again, talking about the blood sugar issue. It's important to ensure that you bring the blood sugar down once it's up, that's above 110 fasting, before having your meal. There are several herbs that does this effectively. I've talked a lot on it. Several foods, spices, herbs. Now, in this particular instance, I want to share the one that happened right this morning. Like I said earlier, you may have observed my absence this morning, visibly, not present. I've not posted this morning on the YouTube. I've not posted on any other platform. It was actually as a result of this issue. And so, what exactly is it about? Yes, it is good to talk about something. It's also good sometimes to put it to test. Yes, not just hearing that you can lower your blood sugar naturally, but actually it does work. It does work. There are several herbs that does it. But right this morning, the case I want to share with us is something that I myself was a little bit, amazed at the result. It is a case of someone, a young man who is 65 years old, and then complained of dizziness and symptoms like that. And of course, as we know, when you experience anything, whether it's dizziness, headache, heartbeat, irregular heartbeat, whatever it is, the vital signs that are usually checked are the sugar, your BP. These are the very two most important that are usually looked at or suspected. And so we checked the blood sugar this morning. I checked it, to be precise. It was 157. And we know that the normal range is 110 or anything below it, fasting. And so what was the remedy, the home remedy, I call it? Because when you try home remedy, any of the remedies, and it fails, the best thing you have to do is to seek for medical attention. There could be other factors also that may be responsible for that. That is my own honest opinion. You are entitled to yours, but after you try it and it didn't give you the result, you definitely need to go further for proper investigation. There could be other factors that could be making your blood sugar not to get resolved or to come down. So you don't have to be laying your hands on whatever comes your way because you want to lower your blood sugar. It's something you need to do carefully because a lot of things could also be involved. So looking at it, that's quite a high one, fasting. That's no meal at all. The normal range ought to be 110, 100, anything from 110 below. But if it's more than that, it's something you have to do something about. And so, as it is, the main suspect was actually high blood pressure. But it is not okay to put your eyes on something. If you're an older adult, if you're 60s or you're over 60, you must check your vitals if you have symptoms that give you cause for concern. You need to check the vitals, every one of us, inclusive. It's not only the blood pressure, also the blood sugar. This will help you to understand exactly where your focus should be. And so, with the therapies of just one single herb and one other how do I put it? Something that you can easily neglect, but it's actually effective too. And if you're in doubt, you can give it a try. It was able to be resolved, at least as at the time of this message. And within 3 hours to 119, which was something I was actually also not really expecting. I was actually expecting something like 130, 135 from 150, which should have been okay too. But lo and behold, it was far beyond my expectation. Yes, what exactly was the remedy? Something you already know. Some of you already have it around you. But there is also something, two things that I want to highlight firstly before I tell us about these two remedies. When the sugar rises very high, I often suggest using things that are raw, not cooked. They work better and they deliver results faster too. That is one of the secrets that I can tell you for free. And so if you are even trying to achieve such a result, you must also focus on those things that haven't been cooked, because they help to give you faster and quicker result. A lot of you may be trying this remedy, that remedy. Most of them may not be raw, but there are so many raw remedies. And again, if you're also trying to work on something like your sugar to bring it down, you also need to ensure whether the blood pressure is high too. Thank you, Frank, with you. Thank you so much. I appreciate your comments. You also need to ensure that your blood pressure, to check your blood pressure too, because it is not enough to conclude that the symptoms that you are getting are just that of blood sugar. No, you can misdiagnose. That was the case this morning. This morning, actually, it wasn't really a diagnosis, but the person concerned with those troubling symptoms like dizziness, serious dizziness, which he complained about. He didn't suspect it was sugar. He thought it was actually blood pressure, because that had been the history. Now, if you have a history of blood pressure rising, or you're managing blood pressure, any little thing, you start suspecting or pointing your fingers on the blood pressure. If you also have a history of blood sugar, most people are like that, but I want to advise you that it's not okay. Always do a test and be sure, so that you know where to focus. You don't be focusing on the other one while the other one is wreaking havoc. And so if some people are already managing high blood sugar, any little headache, dizziness, they say it's the sugar, or the other way, always be sure, especially older adults, so that you know where to focus your therapy. And so the thought was that it was high blood pressure. But on a second, I said, no, let's not suspect the high blood pressure. Let's do the test. I know there was no case of blood sugar, but let's check it. But on checking it, lo and behold, it was actually sugar that was doing the work. Because 157 is not a joke. And so, what was the step taken? The first step, beginning from that history, was to stay away from carbohydrates for now. And then after you stayed away from carbohydrates, whether it's simple carbs or resistant carbs, stay away first. Then the next thing was raw guava leaves. You have to chew it. Don't cook. Yes, making tea with the guava leaf is okay. Very, very okay. But this time around, because it was quite high, I know it's high for an older adult and who is already having dizziness consistently, feeling dizzy. I said, okay, let's take the guava leaf therapy, not boiling. Boiling is different from raw. And he was given 3 raw guava leaves. The tender guava leaves. Wash and chew. He chewed it. After chewing it, the next thing was, though this one may look like it's not important, it may also look like it didn't do any work, but it's not true. It's not about how big. Seeds are very powerful. Seeds are very powerful, I repeat. And so 2 tiny tamarind seeds, roasted, was given to him just to chew after the water therapy. Water therapy with half a lemon juice. Because lemon juice helps to alkaline your body. When the body is too acidic, you can't but be sick. And everything is going to be worse. So if your body is too acidic, you need to also be aware of it. It's going to make the blood pressure worse, going to make the blood sugar also worse. So the roasted tamarind seeds, thank you, you're welcome, was given. And then just chew these 2 roasted tamarind seeds while I arrange for us to check the blood pressure, because the accusation on the blood sugar is getting too much. It's getting worrisome. So let's also check the blood pressure. When checking it, it was found to be 154. That is a bit high, but not as high as to be causing dizziness, because somebody that, in the past history, It could rise up to 198, 199, 200. Talking of the blood pressure. And he still survived it, no problem. And now, with 154, that doesn't seem to me like a life-threatening situation. But the one that looks a little bit life-threatening to me is the blood sugar. 157 is on the high side for an older adult. But while we are working on it, after checking, about 3 hours after taking those therapies, the raw guava leaf, tender raw guava leaf, just 3 tender raw guava leaf, wash and eat. One could have cooked it, but when any food is cooked, especially when you are trying to manage things like this, the effectiveness is reduced. If you want faster results, the raw is better. And so, surprisingly, after checking the blood with those 2 therapies, after checking the blood pressure, we said, okay, let us check the blood sugar again before your breakfast. Because I told us, don't rush for food again when your blood sugar is already high. The best tip is to work to bring it down. Because once you eat, whether it's protein you are eating or whatever, even fruits, is going to be higher. So the best is to ensure that you bring it down. And how would you know? By checking it again. And so after checking the blood pressure, it's okay, let's check the blood sugar again. And surprisingly, it's 119, 119, without any medication. And to me, it's something that really amazed me and worth sharing also. It's worth sharing because a lot of us are still, in doubt. A good number of people are still worried or afraid when their blood pressure, your blood sugar is high. It's not something to cause your heart to begin to pant. These things are true. There are a few occasions we put them to test and we see that it works. But that is not all. Despite the fact that it works, you still need to follow up with proper nutrition. Ensure there is protein in your diet. Quality protein. If your weight is on the high side, you need to work on it. Then you need to also include other foods. Other foods, seeds, spices that can help to lower your insulin resistance. Some of these things, they don't give serious signals. Sometimes you may be thinking all is all right, but you don't even have to wait for complications. It's okay to check once in a while. That's my humble advice. And even if it's high, you don't need to panic, my dear. A lot of remedies are available. If it doesn't work, there are several other foods that can do it. For instance, why was it necessary to check the blood pressure? The blood pressure was necessary also because if you're trying remedies like cloves, it can spike your blood pressure. So each one is, specific in its own result. So you don't just rush. Maybe you saw it somewhere and you just say, oh, it's blood sugar, okay, let me quickly use this. Not knowing that what you are rushing to make use of can trigger the blood pressure. The blood pressure that's already high Yes, 154 is high, not too high. So it's important to, ensure that you manage it, so that while attending to working on lowering the blood sugar, you don't push the blood pressure to move up again. It's already up enough. So that is how my own advice on how to manage or handle these things. If it's quite high, focus a little more on foods that are raw. Number 2 tip, don't rush to eat. Even if the food is not starchy or sugary, don't rush to eat. The first step is to lower it, because whatever you eat will still trigger it, no matter how light or fruity it is. Number 3 tip is you need to take a walk to start burning the existing sugar. You must reduce sitting down for too long. Make it deliberate to exercise. That is one way to burn the existing sugar that's already inside the blood. Then while working on the ones coming from the food, you have to work on the ones that's already in, how to get them out. Then in your own nutrition, don't just rush for the herbs only. Do well to also include the proteins, the fats in moderation, the other antioxidants, and not just protein, complete protein. Some are not complete. These are some of the tips that will help you. And don't forget water therapy. Water makes everything better. And if you're already stressed, you need to also reduce it, because it's going to make everything worse. See you on Saturday. Yes, I'll be out here again on Saturday, 2:30 p.m. Nigerian or African time. I hope to see you there, so that you can have at least a glimpse of this again before what we have for the day. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe.